Hi, and welcome to Origin of Concepts. This is a part of my Freemasons Symbolism series. The Masonic Order has one of the most structured and significant systems containing basically every single aspect of ancient wisdom from the Western European traditions. I'm not a Freemason myself, but I respect the Masonic work, and though I have knowledge of their secret rituals and ceremonies, I will not reveal any of them. I will mainly focus on the origin of the symbols and concepts themselves. And trust me, you got no interest in any of the secret Masonic rituals. You will find them, well, how to express it, dead boring unless you become a Freemason yourself. So keep that in mind before you go deeper into all the conspiracies. Freemasons are generally unaware of the origins of most of the symbols they use. My channel will be particularly interesting for Freemasons to understand the fundamental cornerstone of their craft. So if you are a Freemason, you better check out my channel. And as always, what you will get out of my info here, it's all up to you. Okay, in this episode, I will go through the broken pillar symbolism. The broken pillar in Freemasonry symbolizes the untimely death of a Mason, representing a life cut short, the fragility of life, and the fall of a key supporter of the craft. Often depicted with a weeping maiden and an acacia sprig. It serves as a memorial to Hiram Abiff and a reminder of mortality and the impermanence of earthly works. Things are, you establish something and with time it will be teared down and you have to rebuild it. And let's get to the juicy stuff because it's no longer a secret that it all began in the Milky Way center. So let's have a look at the Milky Way center here. And you can see the image in the corner down there. And I'll go through the symbolism one by one so you can get the understanding of the foundation. The broken column and all of the surrounding symbols is related to the striped shadow in the Milky Way center. The divine column in the sky. And let me outline it here. So this is the column in main, so to speak. The life, the timeline. The striped shadow has symbolized a falling or fallen column or a column lying on its side long before Freemasons existed. So this is way older than the Masonic system. This symbolism originates from ancient Egypt's Osiris myth and the fallen jet pillar, who represented the tilting and downfall of the Milky Way center, or more specific, the tilting of the divine light, the disk inside the Milky Way center. And the impending disappearance of the divine disk light behind the sun. And this concept became an allegory for people passing earlier than average death. And let me give you a short explanation here, because you all know Christmas Eve and you all know Halloween. I use Halloween because that's in the late autumn, and that's around the time in the annual cycle of the Milky Way that the disk disappear behind the sun, and then it won't be visible until December 25th, uh, which we know as Christmas, the coming of the light. The light of the world is getting born, or the jet pillar start racing, or the column, is start racing uh, from horizontal to vertical. So that's the annual cycle of the disk, the divine disk light in the Milky Way center that started everything. All right, let's go through some key symbolism and examples here. The Masonic funeral or memorials. The primary explicit use is as a monument on tombs, indicating a brother's passing. And in ancient cosmology, the stripes in the striped shadow represented deceased people, passing brothers. So I'll remove the pillar. So all the stripes here, is the passing souls on their way into the divine light here, or into the afterlife in the Milky Way center. Maybe I could explain it another way, but I think you got the message. The striped shadow is like the mortal realm, and then you can go up the ladder and go into the divine world, go into your mind, or you can go to the afterlife after you have passed this life, so to speak. All right. It also symbol a life cut short, particularly in the Victorian era cemeteries. The column marks the graves of those who died young or unexpectedly. So that's why the column is broken into two pieces. First of all, the column here is sideways because it's like, there's a part of the column is broken into two and it lay down. So that's a symbol of early death. The striped shadow is the tombstone. It's also the obelisk and the column in the sky. And the inscriptions is the stripes in the striped shadow. And let me visualize that for you. We could use the column here on the graveyard with the inscriptions here. Or maybe at the more classical tombstone, which is the ark here with the inscriptions. You will never be forgotten, or something like that. We love you, and all that kind of stuff. And the most famous, or the first, it was not a tombstone, but heavy related, it was the obelisk. And the obelisk is also the striped shadow. And the pyramidion on top of the obelisk is, of course, the entire Milky Way center, the triangle here. So that will put a lot of things into perspective. Okay, the death of Hiram Abiff. It's a character used by master masons, mason on the on third degree, so to speak. The highest level of masonry. It serves as a visual mnemonic of the death of the Grandmaster Hiram Abiff, which is central to the Master Mason degree, of course. Hiram Abiff is a character linked to the biblical myth of the construction of Solomon's temple, which can be traced back to the Osiris myth in ancient Egypt. I'll go deeper into the origin of Hiram Abiff in another video, because it's not important regarding the broken pillar here and the image you see. Not that important. Hiram Abiff is, of course, very important in the whole Masonic craft and system. Then on the picture we see a weeping virgin standing with a branch of acacia and the urn with the ash of some kind of stuff or some deceased. And let me draw here, because this is important. Here we got the broken column, and right beside the column we got the weeping virgin here. This is the silvery shadow with the female posture. That's always the female aspect of any concept from ancient cosmology or mythology or religions, for that matter. This is always the woman standing right beside the column. And what else can I tell? Her, yeah, and she's weeping because someone is passed, and her tears is represented by the stripes here in the stripe shadow, the river in the sky, the raindrops or water drops in the sky. The stripe shadow is always related to water. So when you, every time you read about mythical water of some kind, it's the striped shadow. And in this case, it's the tears of the weeping virgin. And let's move on here, because we also got the sprig of acacia, which is also the striped shadow. And let me redraw the lady here, the Virgin. This is, by the way, also Virgin Mary from the biblical mythology. And then we got the acacia sprig in her hand. And the sprig is, of course, the striped shadow here. So, and this is the striped shadow always represents the trees and leaves and, everything related to plants in mythology and religions and many other things too. But if you have seen some of my other videos, this area here is the earth, the mortal world, and everything in it. So here you got the acacia sprig. And then we got the urn, which is the entire Milky Way center. And let me outline it here. Let's use the pink color here. The urn is basically, it's just the entire Milky Way center. You can see it. It looks like a big container here, and it contains the ash of the deceased, and the ash is, of course, the gray part of the Milky Way. So So this is the final jar. So where your ashes go into and your spirit um, is also in here, the golden disc light. Okay, let's move on, because behind her we got the figure of time, or the father of time. And he is standing behind the Virgin and counting the hair of her head, signifying that time has destroyed this great piece of architecture. And we could talk a lot about the Masonic symbolism, but I'll just explain the origin of the concept that the Masons took it from, so to speak. The father of time is inspired by the Greek Kronos, of course, or Roman Saturn. The same character, just in two different eras. And both characters who were made with inspiration from the Milky Way Center. I'll go deeper into those characters in another video. But most interesting is counting the hairs as an allegory for, when we count the last hair, your day is over here, and you see some of my hair. I'm halfway, hopefully. Yeah, I don't know about you here, but let me show you where this concept origins from. Because the hair is an allegory. The hand and the hair is an allegory of the striped shadow. This is all the hairs here. And when we count and we reach the last hair, you go into the spirit, to the afterlife. From the golden disc, inside the golden disc, or inside the tomb here, the entire Milky Way Center, or the grave. And the hair is the striped shadow, of course. And then we need the hand. And there's only one hand in the entire cosmos, except from the human hand. And this is the silvery shadow here. This is the hand in every single myth. If you read about a hand doing something, any actions of the hand is this shadow here, and the fingers is visualized by the striped shadow here. So this is the hand counting the hairs, and this is not a Masonic. It's way older. It goes way back to ancient Egypt, where hair was very important. The lock of youth, for example, and Hippocrates and the Horus child. But that's for another video. You can go watch my Hippocrates video to see more about hair and the side lock. And then Kronos here, or the father of time, is holding a scythe in his hand. And we all know the Grim Reaper, which is originated much later in history, in the late Middle Ages, I guess. But let's find the scythe here, because the scythe is the striped shadow, which is also the crescent. And the scythe is used to harvest souls. And in some other myths, it's used for harvesting the wheat. But this is also much elder than Freemason. Yeah. And let me add a little story to understand everything about the site. Because, when the Milky Way is tilting and we reach the top point and tilting back over to the west. Oh, sorry, I got something here. The society will be like a symbol of cutting life or cutting weed, because when the Milky Way tilts, it will be the direct path to the death, because the center, the disk in the Milky Way center, will disappear behind the sun around Halloween or in the late autumn, and therefore the spirit will disappear for a time and re-emerging on December 25th when it comes back from behind the sun. And in the late autumn, the site is also used to cut the weed. And when the site is touching the horizon in the autumn or in this area, it was used as an indicator to start the harvest. So they just used the Milky Way as their annual calendar, so to speak. All right, let's move on here. And I can't remember if I told you, but the weed is, of course, the stripes here, but this is also the deceased souls, so same symbolic value. And then we got the hourglass standing on the stair or on the plateau with the 3 steps here. And the hourglass is an allegory, or the sand in the allegory, is time running out. And the sand is, of course, the golden light in the Milky Way center, and this light is always flowing into the striped shadow like sand in the hourglass. And when the sand is running out, you're done here. So the hourglass is basically the symbolic hourglass, or the divine hourglass, is basically the Milky Way center here. So now you know the divine hourglass, so to speak. And then I can add, because there's also the widow's pin, a broken column encircled by a laurel wreath, is used to represent Masonic widowhood. And the widow is Hiram Abiff's mother, so to speak. Both the column and the laurel wreath is based on the striped shadow. You can check out my wreath video for more info. I will go into details about the widow in my Hiram Abiff video coming up soon. And I think that's all. No, we miss out one important thing here, because if you look at the picture in the corner, you can see we got this plateau here with 3 steps. And this is a very important symbolism, because the striped shadow, the plateau is like, here is the upper plateau and here is the lower, or the ground, the mortal world, or the not so wise mind. And the upper plateau is like the wisdom, but also the spirit or the afterlife. And there's always, let me get 3 steps up. The striped shadow here is the 3 steps into heaven, so to speak, and 3 steps back, and that's why you got the number 33. You can go watch my number 33 video to learn more about this. And what else do we got here? Yeah, and by the way, that's also the 3 steps of the Masons. You have to climb to get a Master Mason. And remember, very important, Freemasons have borrowed most of their symbolism from other cultures and do not relate their symbols to the Milky Way center. That's just me who telling the basic origin of the concepts, and then it evolved into other cultures in the Western Hemisphere here, and then the Masons took it from there and put their own aspects into the symbols. So just so you don't confuse that Masons have a secret from the Milky Way center. All right, but one thing is for sure, the grand architect in every single ancient culture is the Milky Way center. Everything's origin from the center of our galaxy into the mortal realm. And we don't know, but I'll give my 2 cents that when everything ends here on Earth, it goes back to the home of everything in our world. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Now you're a little wiser on the symbols of the broken column. And until next video, take care. So long. See ya. Bye.